You know what's worse than corruption? Corruption that smiles while it burns the place down. Same crew that helped bury the truth in the Bryon Macron case is back, only now they're not just whispering behind closed doors, they're storming township meetings, rewriting reality in real time, and calling it civic duty. From obscene gestures to weaponized silence, they've turned Lafayette Township into a battleground, and the goal isn't reform, it's control. This isn't dysfunction, this is a coordinated operation, and it's time to call it what it is. The Disinfo Cartel Reloaded. Look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The infamous ex-chief isn't a political platform. This was never the goal. This isn't left, right, or center. It's about truth, accountability, and ripping the mask off those who hide behind titles and badges. But sometimes, politics doesn't knock on your door. It kicks it in, tracks mud all over the case files, and dares you not to notice. And that's what's happening here. It's bleeding into the Bryon Macron case, and I can't ignore it anymore. You might remember an earlier episode where we called out Renee Drake and the Disinfo Cartel, a clique of carefully placed insiders twisting narratives, suppressing questions, and gaslighting the public. Well, guess what? They're back, and this time, they're not hiding behind social media anymore. They're weaponizing the township meeting room. This segment is the continuation of that warning, a postscript to a story I had hoped was finished, but I was given a tip, a resignation. The fiscal officer stepped down out of frustration. Why? Because of a toxic political environment stirred up by none other than ex-trustee Michael Costello, Linda Bowers, Angela Ventura, and a new player on the board, Renee Drake. Now, before we go further, let me be crystal clear. This segment isn't about hate. It's about accountability, and it's about what happens when political manipulation hides behind fake concern and civic duty. Enter Carrie Bellar. Now, I've only met Carrie once. I don't have a personal gripe with her. This isn't a hit piece. Honestly, she really wasn't even on my radar until the reprehensible comments from her husband, Michael Bellar, at the most recent township meeting.
The other question that I have is, there was rumors about a video that was going around and the actual reason that Fiscal Officer Rubensall left. Now, I got to tell you, I didn't think it was true. I didn't think there was a video going around, and I didn't understand why there was rumors that Fiscal Officer Rubensall's husband had to come and sit with her during the day. Was that true? Did she have to come up and sit up here?
Sit up here?
Yeah, to protect his wife?
Well, I wouldn't know that.
Okay. Well, after seeing the video, I understand as a husband why someone would want to come up and protect their wife. And it wasn't from Mr. Costello or Miss Ventura. And if you see the video by chance, you'll understand why he had to come up and protect his wife. Her and another individual snuck off camera to be out of Kristen's sight to engage in some intimate activity. When you put 15 cameras in a room, you got to make sure that you remember you put 15 cameras in a room. Suddenly,
this is political theater 101 right here.
Trustee Fullerton immediately had the footage destroyed, ordered it destroyed.
Oh my God, ordered it destroyed.
Did you or did you not?
No, I did not. It had nothing to do with that.
Where's the footage?
He's got it.
Apparently you saw it, right?
Apparently you saw it, yeah.
So did you order
Yeah,
it
that's a
deleted?
made-up story, Michael Bellar, and you know it.
It's not a made-up story.
So the video he's referring to, and I mentioned it earlier, and what Laura's concerns were, Angela Ventura had requested video footage from our hallway camera at the admin. I'm like, no, that's really weird, whatever. And then it was a video of me giving Laura a hug. Maybe you ought to ask Laura why she.
He stood up and made what I can only describe as a twisted accusation. According to Carrie's husband, Trustee Ty Fullerton, giving Laura Rubensaul a hug was framed as some kind of inappropriate sexual act. What makes this even more disturbing is that Laura was clearly having a day that, after speaking with her, I am not at liberty to fully explain, but I can say it was beyond what any normal person could bear. The hug was a completely innocent gesture offered during a moment of deep, unspoken pain, and yet somehow Michael Bellar chose to sexualize it. And let's be very clear here. This wasn't flirtation. This wasn't a boundary violation. It was a brief human moment between coworkers, one of whom was suffering such an immense amount of pain that the rest of us can only begin to imagine. And Michael Bellar tried to turn that into something dirty. He tried to take a compassionate gesture and reduce it to a scandal. That wasn't just offensive, it was reprehensible. And I think it was reprehensible to everyone in that room, with the exception of the Disinfo Cartel. And this is where Carrie Bellar's silence becomes deafening. While her husband launches baseless attacks and distorts decent acts into sexual innuendo, she says nothing. Kelly Bellar is now running for Lafayette Township trustee, and while she may keep her tone calm and doesn't spout off the same public circus that others in her group are known for, her silence speaks volumes. Because when you stand shoulder to shoulder with people like Angela Ventura, Michael Costello, Linda Bowers, and now Renee Drake, and you say nothing as they spread chaos, target people, and twist narratives, you're not neutral, you're complicit. Let's not sugarcoat this. This isn't about how these folks feel the township should be run. That's their smokescreen. This is about a coordinated effort to disrupt, hijack, and manipulate. This group, this Disinfo Cartel, goes literally not just from Lafayette Township, they go from township to township, meeting to meeting, injecting disorder, intimidation, and misinformation into every room they step into. They don't want accountability. They want control, and they're not above poisoning the entire atmosphere of a township to get it. Now, let's talk about Angela Ventura. Not a Lafayette resident, but a familiar face in Lafayette meetings. And once she served as fiscal officer for Medina Township, a position she didn't leave quietly. In 2023, Medina Township trustees filed a petition in the 9th District Court of Appeals claiming Ventura failed to process a legitimate invoice. That failure, they argued, risked township employees losing their health insurance right at the start of the fiscal year. That's not drama. That's dereliction of duty. But somehow, Ventura, despite her own controversy, now feels entitled to insert herself into Lafayette Township business. She doesn't just comment. She shows up, engages, and aligns herself with Costello, Bowers, and the rest of the cartel. And here's where it enters with the Bryon Macron case. Angela Ventura, formerly Medina Township fiscal officer, was quietly part of the rumor mill surrounding a township employee scandal. The talk? That she was having an affair with another township employee. And it wasn't just speculation. She was married to Matt Ventura, a Medina Township police officer, who reportedly caught trustee Ken DeMichael in the middle of an affair with his wife.
Trustee of Medina Township who was having an affair with his fiscal officer who's married to one of the police officers. The police officer works third shift. He went home, caught that trustee in bed with his wife, and the trustee is fleeing his house. Now, instead of pulling his gun, he pulled his phone. He took pictures, and not only did he put it on Facebook, but he was putting it on the local newspapers' Facebook pages.
Oh my!
It didn't stop there. Angela then brought in a man named Cliff Hawker, described by more than a few people as a thug and having no official investigative powers whatsoever, to serve as an investigator for the fiscal office. And wouldn't you know it, Cliff miraculously produced evidence that led to Matt Ventura's arrest on what many considered complete BS charges. Is every detail officially confirmed in court filings? No. It is part of the same tangled, retaliatory web of personal vendettas, power grabs, and narrative control that also clouded the Macron investigation. She may not have written the official reports, but her fingerprints are all over the dysfunction. Revisit Renee Drake. She's not new to this circus, and she's definitely not neutral. She runs a Facebook group called Medina, Ohio News on the Street and whatever else I feel is important. And if you couldn't tell by the name, subtlety isn't her strong suit. She recently posted this gem. There have been a lot of nasty comments lately. Please do better. If you have the need to be sarcastic, you'll receive 7 days and time out. Second time, we will just remove you from the group. And this one, one of my favorites. If someone posts anonymously, even if you figure out who they are, keep it to yourself or we will help you leave the group. Meanwhile, Renee is out here at township meetings, flinging accusations, interrupting speakers, and defending Costello like it's her full-time job. She wants everyone else silenced while she stirs the pot. And at the end of this township meeting, she literally calls someone a sack of shit. I'm going to try to find it. I'm hoping I've got the audio. I hope it recorded. I'm going to put it up here. You don't get to act like a social media crossing guard and then roll up the township meetings tossing verbal Molotovs. That's not civic duty. That's double-faced disruption. Let's talk about the Bowers blueprint. When oversight becomes obsession. Now let's talk about Linda Bowers, a name that's practically stitched into the lining of the entire township mess. She's a former Lafayette Township trustee, but you think she still held office the way she inserts herself into every ongoing discussion, dispute, and disaster. Bowers isn't just part of the Disinfo Cartel. She's their historian, their note-taker, their passive-aggressive den mother. She shows up to the meetings armed with printouts, questions she doesn't want to answer to, and a tone that screams condescension dipped in indignation. But what makes Bowers dangerous isn't that she's loud, it's that she's persistent. She gives just enough plausible deniability to duck behind phrases like, I'm just asking questions, while spinning half-truths into weapons. And when someone calls her out, she plays the victim every single time. Let's not forget, Bowers is also the one who inserted herself into the Macron timeline, offering commentary like she was some kind of neutral observer. She wasn't. She had stakes, she had agendas, and she had proximity. It was never overreach that blurred the line between legitimate concern and manipulative meddling. And now she's handing the baton off to people like Carrie Bellar and Renee Drake, hoping the next generation keeps the disruption alive. And then there's Michael Costello, the walking, talking embodiment of what happens when grievance politics puts on a tie and pretends to be leadership. Okay, he doesn't wear a tie. He's a former trustee who treats every meeting like open mic night at a dive bar. Costello is loud, disruptive, and allergic to decorum. At the most recent meeting, he flipped off trustee Tyee like a teenager caught without a rebuttal. And that's just the tip of it.
I guess I have one question before that. The letter that you read, Ty, was that notes that you took from a conversation
Several
with her?
conversations with her,
Or was it
frustration.
her actual letter? Was it?
No,
They
it
were
wasn't
your
her
notes.
actual letter.
They were your personal notes. Okay. So,
Stop talking, Michael Costello. Oh, middle finger, and get that on camera. Talk about drama.
okay,
Costello has a pattern: stir the crowd, throw gasoline on every disagreement, and dare someone to hold him accountable. Even today, this grown adult continues to use fake Facebook profiles to do his bidding. Sock puppets for slander, anonymous posts to stir division, all while pretending to be just another concerned citizen. His alliance with Bowers, Ventura, and now Drake isn't accidental. It's strategic. He's the chaos engine, and they're the cover. Together, they form a rotating crew of outraged specialists, showing up to meetings not to govern, but to grind the system to a halt. And when it comes to the Bryon Macron case, Costello's fingerprints may not be on the crime scene, but they're all over the cover-up culture that followed. He knew what was happening in those back rooms, and if he didn't, it's because he made sure not to ask. What ties all of this together? Bellar's silence, Ventura's retaliation, Bowers' meddling, Costello's tantrums, and Drake's doublespeak isn't just bad behavior, it's strategy. It's a campaign of slow-motion gaslighting where the goal isn't to win debate, it's to exhaust the truth, to create such a cloud of chaos that facts get lost in the fog. They normalize the absurd. They justify the inappropriate. They scream victim when challenged and smeared anyone who stands in the way. And when the public tunes out, sick of the dysfunction, they move in and seize control. This isn't about township politics anymore. It's about something bigger, a coordinated, methodical erosion of standards and accountability. And if this is what they're willing to do in front of cameras, imagine what they've normalized when no one's watching. Let's not forget the institutions around them. Where is the oversight? Where is the accountability? Why are there no rules of order being enforced during these township meetings? Let's start with the law enforcement. Is the Medina Police acting as the sergeant-at-arms for these meetings? If so, they're asleep at the wheel, or we're selectively blind. You can't have people flipping off trustee, waving dirty underwear in public meetings, and turning government forms into circus acts with no repercussions. I literally witnessed a grown man standing in the middle of the meeting, proudly holding up a disgusting, visibly stained piece of underwear like it was a political statement. And people laughed. People clapped. And the meeting kept going like the behavior was normal. That's not First Amendment expression. That's public disorder. And then there's the media. The Medina Gazette had a reporter present at the very meeting where all this chaos unfolded. And yet none of it made it into print. Instead, here's what was reported. Laura Rubensaul, who officially resigned the day before. Rubensaul said she appreciated the opportunity, but could no longer continue in the position. Evans was initially offered the position after Rubensaul's departure, but declined. She later cited a toxic environment as her reason for stepping back. And that's all they chose to include. No mention of Costello's obscene gestures flipping everybody off. No mention of the guy with the disgusting underwear prop. No mentions of the constant disruptions that made the meeting functionally useless. Why is that? Is it laziness? Bias? Or are they just afraid of the cartel coming after them next? What we're left with is a feedback loop of dysfunction, enabled by silence, protected by procedure, and scrubbed clean by complicit media coverage. The useless Northeast Ohio media is what I refer to it as. Conclusion. This isn't just local anymore. Let's call this what it is. A hostile takeover of local government by people who mistake disruption for democracy. It's a tactical assault on trust. A disinformation campaign waged at the most intimate level. Your neighborhood, your township, your backyard. They hide behind public comment. They hide behind procedure. They hide behind concerned citizen status while exploiting every loophole to dismantle institutions they claim to care about. But here's the thing. When no one calls it out, it spreads. When reporters stay silent, it festers. When institutions fail to enforce rules, it escalates. And when good people stay quiet, this cartel wins. This isn't just Lafayette Township's problem anymore. It's a warning, a blueprint, a virus. And while they want the rest of us divided, distracted, and too tired to care, Tentacle Nation isn't going anywhere. We see it, we name it, and we document every twist, every smear, every play they run, because that's what we do. Be loud, be heard, shake the system until the truth falls out.